verses, and mind you, these verses of the Quran are among 6,626 verses in its entirety that was revealed to a man who is illiterate, a man in the desert, a man who never sailed on the sea, a man who never entered a laboratory, who never looked into a stethoscope, a man who never looked into a microscope, a man who never looked into the heavens, who had no idea, a man who could not himself have made these claims. Claims so clear, so profound, that science itself has not contradicted it. What is the first thing? The first statement of the Creator is that He created the heavens and the earth by His word, be. Now, if there was a Big Bang, that was the Big Bang. And He mentioned that He created the heavens and the earth in 6 periods. That means that by His command, from the darkness, from the mass of what we call outer space, where there was no life, where there was no order, where there were no human beings, that Creator brought the gases, brought the masses, brought them together, caused the explosion, and through that explosion, our planetary system came into being, with the sun as its gravitational center. That sun giving the heat, providing the gravity, and carrying the entire family with it in its own orbit within the Milky Way galaxy itself. And the Milky Way galaxy itself only being a cluster of stars among another nebula. And that nebula itself being among billions of clusters of nebula. Yet, on our Earth is the only planet where this kind of life has been discovered. We don't know that there are any other beings that have the intelligence, that can make choices, that can compute, that can manipulate, that can calculate. We don't know of any other beings in the whole heavens and earth except on the earth. And isn't it fantastic that the earth is the 3rd planet from the sun? Had it been the 2nd planet, it would be too hot for life. Had it been the 4th planet, it would be too cold. So Tabarakallah, blessed be the Creator, who knows in proportion, who knows and who has settled and determined the earth and given it its ecosystems in which our life has evolved out of it. So He gave this earth its ecosystems. So He gave this earth a sky, acting as it were a canopy to protect it from stars and missiles from falling inside to kill it and destroy it. And so He gave this earth a carpet with mountains and streams, and placed upon that earth mountains to give it the balance it needs. And He gave that earth all kinds of vegetation, and He gave that earth the majority of its surface water, so that it had life to generate other forms of life. And inside those oceans He placed countless forms of life that we have yet to discover. And He placed inside those mountains gold, ore, diamonds, all kinds of things from which we gain our benefit from. And He placed inside the atmosphere itself what we need just to breathe and live. And from the dirt of the earth, he created the human beings after he created all the other forms of life. This is the decree that has been made in the Quran that was revealed 1424 years ago. This is not Walt Disney. This is not Steven Spielberg. This is the voice of the creator of the heavens and the earth giving you and I some details. And he revealed this to his servant, his illiterate servant, born in the desert 1424 years ago. And then he says that he created us from dust, dirt, a substance from the earth, mixed with water. In one place he calls it nutfa. Nutfa means sperm. In another place he calls it turab. It means dust. In another place he calls it salsalin. It means a mixture of sounding clay. All of these themselves are descriptions of the origin of the human being and his nature. Then in the same verses, what does he say? He says, first, we created you from sperm, and after sperm, made you into a clot of blood clinging to the womb. Now think about that. When was it discovered from a scientific point of view, from an academic point of view? When was it discovered? When was that discovered? That the sperm, when it impregnated the egg, became a fetus, and then that, became a clot of blood, and that clot of blood clung to the womb of the mother so that it could get the nutrition and become a host. So the mother would become a host, and she would begin to feed it without even her own volition. Then he says, from that clot of blood, it began to hang. And now we know from scientific filming, scientific documentation, that the sperm swims, millions of sperm, and only one hits that egg. Then that egg settles in the womb. When it settles in the womb, it germinates. When it germinates and breaks open, it becomes a clot of blood, and then it clings to the womb. Then after that, it starts to hang from the womb, and that hanging part is the umbilical cord. The Quran said that. Then he says, from that hanging clot, then we make into it a fetus. Now we know that 9 weeks into pregnancy, the fetus is there. The fetus, what is it? It's the brain. It's the spinal cord. It's the part of the human being that gives it all the senses and its identity. Then we know at 21 weeks, it's a fully grown embryo, with the heart pumping, with the lungs breathing, with the eyes fully formed, with the hands and the fingers and the toes, and the kidneys functioning, fully formed at 21 weeks, at 12 weeks, 12 weeks, fully formed. Then he says, then we clothe that fetus with skin. Go to the scientific manuals and see what this process has been discovered, if it is not accurate. And then he says, after that we clothe it. Then after that we bring it forward as another creature. So it comes forward as a child. Because as a child, now it has its own personality. It is given its own spirit. It is given its own designation. It comes forward. It is named a child, a human with its own name and identity. This is what the Quran says 1424 years ago, our beginning. Then he says, after some time, you will die. A fact. No maybe, not some of you, not the poorest of you, not the weakest of you, but all of you will come through this process and then you will die. Now we know that whether they create what they call a surrogate mother or whether they take that and put it into a test tube, the process is still the same, isn't it? Cannot go outside of this process because the Creator is the Creator and He has determined the system. Now the human beings can fool around a little bit and make a surrogate mother, put a baby in a monkey. They can do all kind of foolish things if they want to, but they will not change the process. But what they may do is that the other thing that comes forward may be something other than what the Creator has intended. So when they start cloning, you're going to find out there's going to be a lot of freak type people whose psychology, whose genetic structure, whose mentality, whose physical structure, whose nutritional balance, whose mental order is going to be dysfunctional. Why? Because no way man can create like the Creator, because man is a subject. This is our beginning. You have to say glory be to God if He revealed to His servant 1424 years ago these facts which science has not contradicted.
أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي للرشاد. أشرقت نفسي بنور